Hello, this is an infomercial about the Qing Dynasty created by Jessica Chun, Raagas, and Sofia. The final ruling imperial dynasty of China was the Qing Dynasty. Initially founded as a confederation of all non-Chinese groups under the development of the Manchus of Manchuria, this dynasty lasted from the 1640s to the 1900s. This long-lasting genealogy of non-natives arose when the Manchus enclosed the Ming Dynasty with attacks from the north and successfully conquered them while they were weakened by internal problems. Within little time, the Manchus swiftly conquered Beijing in 1644, and they assumed the name Qing from their leader, Fulin, son of Huang Taji. With that, the Qing dynasty was established. Over the years, they remained secure, stable, and successful with the rule of strong leaders, followed the ideology of Confucianism, which teaches deliberation, modesty, and kindness, and had only perspicacious people who passed Confucian exams receive jobs. Some important people who helped develop the Qing dynasty were Nurhaci, Emperor Taizong, and Emperor Kongzi. Nurhaci was a Jurchen tribal leader and conqueror of other Jurchen tribes who created the group of Manchus. Gaining experience and knowledge of the ones who he defeated, he captured Shenyang, a Ming city, and had a son named Huang Taji who continued his attack on the Ming dynasty, and like I said before, named the Qing dynasty. Huang Taji's son Fulin then led the Manchus in 1643, who were finally able to claim the Ming dynasty with force. Emperor Kongzi was the second ruler of the Qing dynasty for about 60 years. With a high education and a hard-working manner, the Qing dynasty flourished, succession became secured, weapons were improved, and the empire was modernized. The fall of the Qing dynasty began in the 1800s when European imperialism occurred. Sections of Asia were lost to Europe's main countries, causing pressure on even imperial China. The Opium Wars also caused a ruckus, forcing unequal treaties upon the Qing dynasty and causing them to undergo harsh conditions and lose a lot of their territory, including Hong Kong. From then onwards, China was humiliated and most areas along its edges were lost. Southeast Asia was overrun by France, Taiwan was taken away by Japan, and one-sided trade demands were imposed in the 1895 Treaty of Shimonoseki. In the 1900s, sphere of influence became established along the coast of China, sections where the foreign had influence in bartering and military. While internal factors slowly crumbled away at China, loyalty issues, the loss of the Mandate of Heaven, and the Boxer Rebellion took a toll within. The Han Chinese felt little loyalty to the Qing rulers as well because they were northern Manchus. Adding to that, the Opium Wars seemingly proved that the foreign dynasty had lost the Mandate of Heaven and that it was essential to dispose of it. Chinese peasants then created a non-foreigner movement in the 1900s known as the Boxer Rebellion against the Qing family. The Qing armies and foreign peasants faced against each other but were unable to defeat the foreigners, beginning the end of the Qing dynasty. The next 10 years, the Qing dynasty held on to power until 1912 when Puyi, the last emperor, ended its millennial-long period by relinquishing the throne. The Qing dynasty has many belief systems, but their dominant belief was Confucianism. Being an approved religion with a lot of influence, most emperors had adopted it and visited altars to do sacrifices. Daily lives for women were being forced to stay home and take care of the children, cook, and do chores. They also unfortunately were forced to be in marriages. Men mostly did the hard work and were out farming or making money, and those who wanted to be part of the government had to do examinations for civil or military postings. They were often split into ranks or sections, you could say.
There were many achievements of this dynasty, and here are some of them. Qing China had reached its peak of power and prosperity. The empire's population was 400 million at its greatest extent. The dynasty ruled over 13 million square kilometers of territory. There was stability, prosperity, and wealth during the middle period of the Qing dynasty. The economy flourished with the expansion of markets and more trade between regions and with overseas markets. Foreign trade had expanded at 4% per annum throughout the later part of the 18th century, with China exporting tea, silk, and other products. Large favorable trade balance with the West and resulting inflow of silver expanded money supply, facilitating growth. Government initiatives also led to increases in population, prosperity, and wealth during the prime of the Qing era, which encompassed most of the 18th century. The battle gear was also an achievement. Foot soldiers made armor lighter where they could move faster and began carrying bronze swords and spears. These new innovations let soldiers win more wars and increased the power and wealth throughout the land. Foot soldiers also used swords with longer blades to stab the enemy even easier. Finally, printing production was invented and developed the printing production industry. It aided the scholars and artists to promote and distribute their work. Printing production also experienced great growth in terms of literature and poetry. The important people involved were Jian Daxing, the Kangxi Emperor, and the Jianlong Emperor. Jian Daxing, a famous versatile scholar of the Qing dynasty, is familiar with Chinese classics, history, various schools of thought, astronomy, and geography, especially epigraphy. He had many creative ideas in the study of phonics and the critical interpretation of ancient texts. He studied the consonants of ancient China syllables before everything else. The Kingxi Emperor was the third emperor of the Manchu Qing Dynasty and the second Qing emperor to rule over all of China from 1661 to 1722. He is known as one of the greatest Chinese emperors in history. His reign of 61 years makes him the longest reigning emperor of China in history. The Jianlong Emperor was the fifth emperor of the Manchu Qing Dynasty and the fourth Qing emperor to rule over China. Despite his retirement, however, he retained ultimate power until his death in 1799. How this dynasty helped unite China as a nation was because of Shi Huangdi. He wanted personal control of strong central government. So, he weakened noble families by taking land and making them live at the capital. He united his lands by building highways, irrigation projects, and forced peasants to work on projects, which used high taxes in order to fund them. Shi Huangdi set government standards for weights, measures, coins, writing, and made it easier to trade and do business everywhere in China. Finally, the Great Wall. Shi Huangdi built a long wall on northern borders to stop invaders. He forced hundreds of thousands of peasants and criminals to build it. Many died from hard labor, creating resentment among people. Thank you for listening.